Speaking your truth, why your story matters more than you think. Hi, I'm Marcella Crank from Crank It Up Coaching, and today we're going to talk about vulnerability. And this is,
Hi, I'm Yvette Carrion of Pivot Point Life Coaching, and I'm so excited to talk about our topic today because it speaks volumes of our struggles and our triumphs. And we want to share them with you guys here at Soul Fuel Sanctuary.
yes, yes. So, this is such a wonderful topic, I think. And I think about the fact that society, people, tell us to be strong by staying silent.
Mm,
But what true strength is speaking up, is speaking up. And I'm
I agree.
definitely passionate about this. And this topic really speaks to my heart. So I wanted to share with you before we start really going into our stories is Maya Angelou said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. Isn't that powerful?
Ooh,
Oh my
this is
gosh. Let me
so
say it again.
powerful.
There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of us. Yeah,
Wow.
so
Ooh, if you let it sink in, I mean, I think everybody has that untold story that is like a dagger in their heart.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
for me, I'll start telling you a little bit about me and my story. So I grew up in a household where my father died when I was 6 and my mom died when I was 20, but she had a huge struggle with addiction. And so I grew up and I'm not going to go into all the details here, but it was a struggle. And one of my and I of course I learned this after I started studying coaching. But one of my mechanisms to cope was silence.
Mm.
So I had a hard time with speaking up. I would have conflict avoidance
Mm-hmm.
and what they called learned helplessness. And that's like
Mm.
your actions, you feel like your actions won't make a difference. It feels like pointless or maybe even unsafe. And
Mhm.
so I grew up like that. And I'm going to tell you that so many people used to talk to me any kind of way, and I wouldn't say
Mm.
anything. I have so many memories of people just really talking bad to me, to me in my
Yeah.
face. And I would not
Wow.
defend myself. I would not do anything. I would just sit there and take it. Um, and a little while ago, we talked about, I think it was about toxic people. And I said, this person said something to me. And at first, I wasn't going to say anything. And then I said, you're a changed person. You got to say something. So that was what that was all about. That I would
Uh,
not,
agree.
I would not. And I had we're still really close, but then we were really, really close when I was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this friend, and I would say she was a ride or die friend. I don't know if I
Mm.
was a ride or die for her, but she was definitely a ride or die for me. And so we would hang out all the time. And if people talked down to me or said something that wasn't quite right, she would be the one who would jump in and say, no, you didn't say that, and defend me. And I would just be meek and mild and not say a word. So, but as I got older, still allow people to say stuff to me. But the interesting thing is that I would defend the underdog. So I'll speak up for
Mhm.
other people who are the underdog, but I would never speak up for myself. I don't know what that is, but I know it has to do with just being silent, thinking that what I had to say didn't matter, wouldn't make a
Mhm.
difference. And that's a lie. That is a lie. So I want to encourage y'all to speak your story. So, Yvette,
Wow. You know, Marcella, when you were saying about being silent, what came to my mind was, where is that coming from for all of us,
mhm,
right? We avoid conflict because we are afraid to go into confrontation,
mhm,
and it happened to me as well when I was younger. But my story that I'd like to share with everybody is about friendship. I have been a child ever since I was young. I love making friends because I think it's because I'm the only girl among seven boys. Early on in life, I was the only girl. Later on, I had my sister. I have my sister now. I'm so happy. But then, being an only girl, I had to be like a boy. I had to adjust. I have to be this. I have to fight for whatever it is that I have to fight for because my boys, my brothers, are all rowdy and wacky. And so if I don't let my voice out, I felt that I'm going to be in this tiny space. And then my way of expressing myself was having friends outside of the house. And because in back in the day we lived in a compound, so it was a safe space. We could play until midnight and all that. So friendship for me was something that's very important. And so until later on in life, I met different people. But as a friend, I always give my all. I'm always honest, and then it came to a point in my life where a friend betrayed me.
mhm,
And so that until now makes me question how much is too much in telling your story to a friend. So I was so scared of being betrayed. I was so scared of trusting people. So until now it sometimes it holds me back. So I'm so wary of people getting close who are like, okay, so is this person going to be real, or is
mhm,
this person just getting information?
mhm,
And I don't know if it resonates with you or our audience, but it made me lose faith in some people,
mhm,
in people themselves. Of course, I have my real friends that I really value, friends of 45 years, friends of since I was young. They're still there. But then imagine just some people, or even that one person who betrays you, can shift your faith in friendships. But
yeah,
then it was a struggle for me. And then until I said to myself, you know what? It is not about you. It is about the other person. And so slowly, I try to, whenever I think of having, or I feel that fear of telling too much, I
mhm,
just become mindful. I just remind myself, wait, give this person a chance. And then not as the kids say now, TMI, not too much information. Just enough. Just feel the
mhm,
waters, because it's different with my friends of like years and years, my
mhm,
lifetime friends. Yeah, but
mhm,
then again, it's giving back again that faith in humanity, that like
mhm,
give people a chance. So
mhm.
slowly I'm trying, I think I'm slowly getting there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but I think it's really that betrayal is really an experience that has hit me hard.
Hmm. I think so many people can relate to what you just said, Yvette. Everybody, I believe everybody experiences betrayal in one way or another. And when you are betrayed, it's just like heartbreaking, especially when it's somebody that you're close to
Mm,
and you've been vulnerable with.
yeah.
And it's super hard, but I think that what you said that you're like taking it slow, testing the waters, that you're not divulging too much information just to see where the relationship goes. I think that's what we should do once we
Yeah.
become betrayed and we're trying to get back out there. Because it's so important for us to be vulnerable versus, all or nothing. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to put up the wall and I'm not going to be vulnerable to anybody else again.
Exactly.
Because that's why we're talking about vulnerability. And I think we have like two or three lessons. Um,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say lessons, more like discussions about
Yeah.
vulnerability because it's so important. And
Yeah. And you know what,
you know,
Marcella? I'm sorry. Yeah. So if I
no,
just
that's
may say that, sharing this with you right now, and I don't know if people would resonate with it, but just saying it out loud has really like lifted something from my heart.
yes. I'm so glad you brought that up because initially when we were talking about, telling our story or telling a story about being vulnerable. Initially, I was going to talk about more about my mom's situation and how for years, so she died when I was 20. And I think it was like 20 years before I even mentioned, what she had issues. And she's human,
Hmm.
so she had issues, but I felt like people would judge me based upon what she did. And I felt the same way you did when I first opened up to somebody about who my mother was and what she did. It was like a release,
Hmm.
and it was amazing. And sometimes I still have a little struggle, but I think it's so important because your story, my story about being silent, a lot of people deal with that, but I know everybody deals with being betrayed, one time or another. And if you're too young and you've never been betrayed, it's going to happen because that's life. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, people are people, and that is what happens.
Yeah. And I think the most important thing that I have learned about betrayal is that not to generalize people, right?
Mhm.
Like not everybody is the same. Not everybody are traitors, if I would say that heavy word, but um, people are different. And then it's all about how you are inside. I think it was
Yeah.
more of, was I a failure as a
Mm.
friend? Or what did I do wrong that you
Hmm.
question yourself as well. But then
Yes.
it is also a process where you try to understand yourself and then
Yeah.
understand the world and then
Right.
learn from it. And it's
Yeah.
so, in a way, it it shifted. But then again, in life, we cannot be overly cautious. Otherwise, we will not be able to enjoy life.
Right.
We just
Right.
have to be courageous and just
Hmm.
keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I think observant too, because people, I believe, and this is another Maya Angelou saying that people will show you who they are. So a lot of times we make excuses for them, and we don't receive what they're giving us until
Mm.
it's like blatant before us and flashing lights before us. So why do you think or believe vulnerability, most people feel like it's scary? Why do you think that is?
Ooh. because it's always a fear of rejection. It's always the fear of
Hmm.
and sometimes it's about you inside there. I have this secret and I don't want
Hmm.
anybody to know. But then when you share it with this person who you feel is good enough or deserving enough of the trust,
Hmm.
then you share it. There's this like, I feel comfortable with this person. I feel I can tell this person everything.
Hmm.
And then after so many years, this person uses everything that uses everything that you told them. And so that is the fear of every person, like that vulnerability that what if
Right.
she, like I heard, I mean, I read one time, if you tell something to somebody, you don't hold their tongue. They can
Yeah,
just
some
say it
people.
anything. Yeah,
So,
and that is one of the fears, right? Because we
right,
all have like,
right.
this is so deep in me and I'm gonna share it. And so now, after having that experience of the vulnerability used against you, now you question again, am I gonna share? How much is too much?
Hmm.
And then you go through the process and then you affirm to yourself that it is not about me. I was a real person. I shared, and that is the responsibility of another person. That
Yeah,
they destroy the trust, etc.
right.
But then keep the faith in humanity. I mean, there are really good people out there
Yeah.
still.
I think another thing is the societal message about, I think you kind of touched on it. Don't share your business, keep your business,
Mm.
and what
Yeah,
stays, what's done in the house stays in the house, and that
yeah,
vulnerability is weakness,
yeah,
and so when you are vulnerable, you're showing that you're weak.
yeah,
And yeah, I think that
yeah.
between the fear of rejection, the fear of people telling your business, or uh, the word I'm trying to find is people who share too much, they gossip. So you tell them something, and the next thing you know, 20 people know your business.
Mm.
And and societal messages
Yeah.
about,
Mhm.
not sharing. I think you made a good point, though, and I said this already, but I'm going to re-emphasize it, is that you have to, not know who you're talking to, test the waters, and not just, go up to somebody and share all of your deep, fears and all of that. You have to test the waters. So you give them a little bit, give them a little bit, and see how they respond, see
Yeah,
what they do with
it's
it.
true. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But yeah, and also when what happened to both of us, I guess, our stories, the thing there is that but the thing there is that when you share your story either in paper, on paper, or like we're sharing right now, I felt a sense of, relief,
Mm-hmm.
and then a sense of like it's out there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, it happened to me, I got hurt, and it's real.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, it makes it real for us, and it's not. And so because it is real, and sharing it out there, I feel that the emotion that I have has been released as well. And it's been
Yeah,
there for a long time, right? And
right,
you're
right.
struggling with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think sharing our story, especially to the right people, is also
Mm-hmm.
very helpful.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it gives connection. Okay.
Yes, that's definitely one of the benefits. It creates a genuine connection between people.
Mm. Yeah.
And also creates healing for yourself. It
Mm.
releases, and it releases shame, and maybe even sometimes guilt. And then also it inspires other people. I think of the Me Too movement and
Oh,
how
yeah.
people, were so silent, you know, about what happened to them. And then somebody talked about being sexually molested or raped or something sexually.
True.
And how many people were blessed by that? And that's how the Me Too movement started.
Yep.
And, instead of holding that burden and holding that guilt and all of that and that shame, and, when they started talking about it, that's what happened to me. Me too.
Yeah.
The healing process began.
Yep. And there's power in numbers. When you know that
Yes.
you're not alone, it gives you
Uh-huh.
strength.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. Yeah, I like that Me Too movement. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, so I guess Marcella, again, time flies. I
Yes.
would want to
Yes.
talk more, but and hear your stories as well.
Yes. So we would love to hear your stories. Put them in the comments. And if you could relate to anything that we said, and I'm sure everybody could, but we would like you to subscribe. We would like you to smash that subscribe button, like us, and comment and tell us what you enjoyed about this episode, or even with some vulnerability, share your
Yes.
story in the comments. We would love to hear it.
Oh, yes, please. And let me take advantage of this moment to share you this book.
Oh,
I'm so
it's not
proud, you
it's
know.
not really clear. And you know what? I don't have my book
Okay.
close to
But
me.
anyway, I'm going to say about this
Good, right there.
self-love,
Uh-huh. Work.
self-love workbook for women by no other than Marcella Crank herself. And it's really a
Yes.
very helpful workbook for women. Take time for yourself. So, okay. So,
Yes.
thank you for staying with us here at Soulfield Sanctuary. And I'm Yvette Carion. And
And Marcella Crank, we appreciate y'all. We love you, and we look forward to our next discussion with you, which will be on vulnerability. I think it's vulnerability and leadership. So talk to you soon. Bye for now.
bye.